I have good news and bad news to start with today, and they're both the same, depending on your perspective. Donald Trump last night gave what is likely to be his last rally ever as president of the United States. If you like the Trump craziness, it's coming to an end. If you dislike it, it's coming to an end. So it's good or bad, depending on your perspective. It was bizarre. It was deranged. It was also really boring. And it took place in Georgia. The point of the rally supposedly was to support the two Republican senators running in today's elections, Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue. But down to every detail, the entire event was a farce. David Perdue couldn't even be at the rally because he's in coronavirus quarantine. Of the nearly 90 minutes that Donald Trump ranted, almost none of it was about the Senate candidates. It was mostly about Trump, much of it telling lie after lie. It is not an exaggeration to say Donald Trump told hundreds of lies during yesterday's rally, insisting he won, at one point simply citing supposed county level vote count numbers from election night, the crowd completely silent for long stretches of the rally. And down to the last element, I mean, even Trump's face, more orange than we've ever seen it despite his pale hands. Every detail could not have been more absurd. And as I like to say, indistinguishable from satire. So let's get right into it. Here is Donald Trump within seconds opening up the rally by lying about the results in Georgia.
Well, I want to thank you very much. Hello, Georgia. By the way, there's no way we lost Georgia. There's no way. That was a rigged election, but we're still fighting it, and you'll see what's going to happen. We'll talk about it.
And this was the theme. Trump moments later saying if Democrats take the White House, and then realizing, hold on a second, no, they're not taking it. We won.
If the liberal Democrats take the Senate and the White House, and they're not taking this White House, we're going to fight like hell, I'll tell you right now.
And the theme was that the crowd really didn't seem to care very much about Loeffler and Perdue. They seemed to just be there for Trump, but even Trump got too boring for them for long stretches and they tuned out, which we'll get to. Donald Trump then alluding to once again, hoping that Mike Pence can steal the election for him tomorrow.
And I hope Mike Pence comes through for us, I have to tell you. I hope that our great vice president comes through for us. He's a great guy. Of course, if he doesn't come through, I won't like him quite as much.
So this is wild for two reasons. First, that Donald Trump is publicly pressuring the vice president to steal the election. And second, that Donald Trump seems to believe that Mike Pence can steal the election. Pence's role in Washington, D.C. tomorrow, as we talked about yesterday, is really perfunctory. And we're all going to see that tomorrow, so I won't get ahead of myself. Here is an example of Donald Trump ranting about things nobody in the crowd seemed to understand, and the crowd is silent. At one point, I wondered, did the crowd leave? But they were there, just not making a peep.
And you've got to swarm it tomorrow. Now, the good thing about tomorrow, it's one state, so you have a lot of eyeballs watching. It's tougher than when you have 50 states and they do it to various states. I've never seen anything like it. You know, I was leading in Pennsylvania by hundreds of thousands of votes. All of a sudden, I was tired. I said, what happened? They'll make Washington, D.C. and other liberal places the 51st, 52nd, 53rd states of the Union, guaranteeing.
You can almost hear the room tone louder than you can hear the crowd. It's really wild how dead silent Trump was able to get this crowd to be. Trump then defiantly clarifying he does not concede, even though he did lose 2 months ago, after all.
Nothing and no one will be able to stop them. These Senate seats are truly the last line of defense. Now, I must preface that by saying, because they'll say, he just conceded. No, I don't concede.
That got the crowd awake. Trump not conceding. That's the one thing he should be doing, and mentioning that is what really gets the crowd fired up. So then this is funny. When Donald Trump did talk about David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler, which was almost not at all, but that was the point of the rally in theory, The crowd is totally bored when Trump talks about Perdue and Loeffler. Here he is talking about David Perdue, who it wasn't even clear whether Trump knew Perdue wasn't there because he was quarantining. Doesn't matter. You'll see the camera, if you're watching, pan around. And although the lack of masks is notable, the lack of enthusiasm is as well.
Over the last 4 years, David Perdue has been one of our greatest allies and strongest defenders in Washington. He's a great gentleman.
And then the crowd just as bored when Trump was talking about Kelly Loeffler, just barely a cheer.
Georgia has another fantastic champion in Senator Kelly Loeffler. Kelly is a staunch defender of our incredible military. I'm so proud of our military. She supports the wall, and she always stands with the heroes of law enforcement, ICE.
Usually, they pump up the crowd noise. I was wondering whether they were suppressing the crowd noise, and that's a joke. They weren't. The crowd was just that silent for much of this rally, a deflated, empty speech. The cringiest moment in the whole thing was probably this moment when Donald Trump called up Republican Senate candidate Kelly Loeffler to the stage, and she had an announcement to make, which was that tomorrow she will object to the counting of the electoral votes. That got the crowd interested. They woke up for that.
Hello, Georgia! Woo! Thank you, Georgia. I have an announcement, Georgia. On January 6th, I will object to the Electoral College vote. That's right. Thank you.
What energy, right? I mean, just the energy just oozing off of Kelly Loeffler there, loudly announcing she will also be making a fool out of herself in Washington, D.C. tomorrow. And Trump then seemed to be visibly struggling to get to the end of his speech. You're going to hear him sort of slurring here, mixing up words. The last 20 minutes were just one of the most poorly delivered speeches that I've seen from Trump, and that says a lot.
We have all seen what our opponents are capable of doing. I ran 2 elections. I won both of them. Second one, much more successful than the first. But we can't let this happen any longer. On election night, we were leading by so much. We're not going to have that tomorrow.
So then this is the part that's really nuts. For about 20 straight minutes, Trump read with terrible inflection and tone alleged voting results from various counties. And here he is wanting to talk about Maricopa County, Arizona, but he's only able to get out the word Mayacopa. And it doesn't even matter because everybody's tuned out by this point anyway.
His constituents reported that their earlier in-person ballots may not have been correctly processed or tabulated in Maricopa County officials.
Yeah, so this was the part that had the crowd completely checked out, just droning on like this for 20 minutes. Here's another part of it. You could really hear a pin drop in this place.
The committee then heard additional testimony concerning voting irregularities during the 2020 general election, including testimony and a real-time test demonstrating serious irregularities with Dominion's voting machines. 3 events discussed at this hearing stand out and require a forensic order of the Dominion voting machines in Georgia to be immediately conducted.
The one phrase that woke people back up was Trump mentioning Dominion voting machines. The sycophants have almost been trained in a Pavlovian manner. If you hear Dominion, that you have to react to, but they were really struggling to remain even remotely engaged with Trump droning on and on about votes and ballots. And then during his wind-up sort of crescendo, Trump actually glitches on the word America, and he tries to cover it up by flexing his bicep.
We have made America strong again. Look at that arm. Look at that.
Trump commonly does this. We saw this dozens and dozens of times during his presidency. When he sort of glitches out during a word, he'll do something physical to distract from it. He'll flex his arm, or he'll slap the lectern a couple of times, or he'll turn to the other side of the audience and say, whoa, hey, how about that? So Trump's final rally, as expected, all about himself. He seemed sort of to try to go through the motions of talking about David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler, but he really couldn't do it. And what he did do is spend a lot of time claiming that he won in November. We are very close to the end. Very, very close. And the next question is, what will Trump do between tomorrow, when the electoral votes are counted, and January 20th, when Joe Biden is sworn in? Will we see him at all? Will he tweet? Will he go crazy tweeting? Will he not tweet at all? We don't know, but you can join me tonight live on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook for Georgia Senate results, starting somewhere in the 7 p.m. Eastern hour. And then tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern, join me live on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook for the counting of the electoral votes, supposedly the last stand for the Trumpists, tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern. Join me tonight and join me tomorrow. So it's a new year, and for many people, that means new goals around getting fit or losing weight. And if part of that for you involves a low carb or ketogenic diet, then I have something you will want to check out. It's called So Ketolicious, and they're giving you 20% off. So Ketolicious has perfected ketogenic crusts for baking your favorite foods. They make a delicious keto dessert crust, which comes in a chocolate and vanilla flavor, and it's perfect for making things like pies. They also have a premium keto pizza crust, which I've been using at home to make pizzas, and it's great. It is great to go right out of the freezer, and when you cook it, it doesn't fall apart like a lot of other low-carb crusts do. It's high fat, which is perfect for keto, grain-free, gluten-free, no soy or additives or preservatives or fillers, but most importantly, they just taste great. I can tell you firsthand. Just go to davidpakman.com/pizza. The link is underneath this video, and they'll give you 20% off your entire order when you use the coupon code PAKMAN.